Are you selling your house and it's getting close to closing day and not quite sure exactly what you need to be doing to prepare for this? Well, that's what I'm going to talk with you about today. My name's Amy Brossette and I am with Keller Williams in Austin, Texas. And today I thought I'd just talk to you for a few minutes about, as a seller, when you're selling your house, what you need to do to make sure you are ready for closing day. Closing day, the day that everyone goes in and signs the paperwork, and typically the day that the buyer's funds arrive at the title company. That's a very important day, obviously, that you want to be prepared for so that there are no surprises. So what do you need to do? Well, this needs to start a couple of weeks ahead. You need to, as the seller, prepare by removing everything, obviously, from your home that you're selling. And that includes, if you took a bunch of pictures off the wall and they left big holes, more than the nail hole, the little nail hole, you know what, it'd be nice. Fill in those holes. Now, before you do that, make sure that you have the corresponding touch-up paint so you don't make a really big mess. Test that touch-up paint out in a little low corner to make sure that it's not going to look bad. And so you remove everything from walls, and you've packed up, you've cleaned the house, or you've hired someone to have it cleaned, including inside your cabinets. Don't forget about that kind of stuff. You want to make sure for closing day that your yard has been mowed in the last few days. There's nothing worse than having the new buyer come to the house and the yard's a foot high. Come on, let's be a nice seller. So, as the seller, you need, and buyer too, but you would review your closing disclosure, go over it, make sure that you understand what the different credits and debits are. And if you have any questions about that, talk to the closing officer or your realtor, and make sure the numbers match up the way that you're expecting. And then you would need to also arrange ahead of time with the title company. Are they going to be writing a check to you for your proceeds, or are they going to be wiring the information and the funds of your proceeds to your account? If they're going to wire your funds, make sure you listen to my video on wire fraud. And then you would also want to get your wiring instructions for your bank and give that to the title company so that they can wire the funds into your bank account. And then you would also, a few days ahead of time prior to closing, you would want to contact the utility companies for your property and tell them that you need to have the utilities either terminated or transferred to the buyer's name. And you should have the utilities on your property through the day of closing. Make sure you get all codes ready, garage code, ring doorbells, security codes. Wipe those out. All those codes that you have, if you can, wipe them out, especially with ring doorbells. Those are kind of on the newer side, and those often get forgotten. And you want to open up your app on your phone and delete that account from your phone so that the new buyer has privacy and so that they can set it up in their name. A tip, if you still have the code that came with your ring doorbell, give that code to the new buyer so that they can set it up in their name. And if you don't still have the code, I think that the little ring apparatus can be removed, and it might be like on the back of it or something. And then you need to make sure you have all the extra keys, door openers. Think about this. If you have community mailboxes, your mailbox key, if it doesn't get turned in to the post office, any pool fob keys, if you live in a neighborhood with a community pool, all of those type of keys, home warranty policies, owner's manuals, collect all those put them in a drawer in the kitchen, and then to closing, on the day of closing, you take one key with you to closing. Now, that leads me to, what do you need to bring to closing on the actual day? So you should bring one door key. You should bring a checkbook, which, I mean, say, why do I need a checkbook? Because I'm selling my house. But you never know, there could be, something forgotten. Maybe you and the buyer had arranged a lease back where you as the seller will be staying in the house for a week or two or more than that. Well, then the seller needs to pay for the lease back. Anyway, take your checkbook just in case. Another reason why you might need your checkbook, if you forgot to set up the wire transfer for the title company to be able to deposit the proceeds from your sale in your account, if you have your checkbook with you, you can give them a voided check and they can use the number on there to set up that transfer. Take 2 forms of ID with you. Take your driver's license. I know you're thinking, of course I'm going to take my driver's license. I'm driving to the title company. However, trust me, I've been in closings and sellers are like, oh my gosh, I don't have my driver's license with me. So check that out. Check and make sure you have your driver's license with you. And then also, all parties that are on the deed must sign. Now, so don't forget that all parties that are on the deed must sign the closing documents. If one party is not going to be available for closing, then in advance you need to have a power of attorney document drawn up. Both parties on the deed get that. The party that's not going to be present will sign that, get it notarized, and give the authorization to the party that is going to be present at the signing. Now, let's say that it's a married couple and maybe the wife purchased the home 5 years before the couple was married. And let's say that you've only been married for 2 months. A lot of people think that the husband would not have to sign the closing papers because, after all, it's not his house. However, in Texas, it's a community property state, and even if you've only been married for 2 months or 1 month, if you are married, both spouses have to sign the deed authorizing that the property can be sold. So make sure you don't forget that. And then you are pretty much ready for closing. You can go, relax. Closing time usually takes, for a seller, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to sign the documents. Doesn't take as long as it does if you're the buyer. You can go and enjoy your time and be excited that you're closing on your property. If you want to be prepared for your closing day, why don't you reach out to me for a free copy of my seller's closing checklist. If you have found this video helpful, like it, and if you'd like some other information about buying or selling real estate in Austin, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel.